Louis J. Gomez and Big J. Oakerson were on Joe Rogan this week. Kind of makes sense why Louis didn't do this podcast when in the same week he was on the biggest podcast on the planet. But they were on Rogan, and I think you could do this almost any time Joe has a comedian on.
Yep.
We could have done the compilation of Big J. Oakerson swinging for the fences with a joke and getting nothing, just crickets from Joe.
Yeah.
And it's Jay being like very funny and Joe just answering him seriously. Where he's like, "Oh, did you actually do that?" And Jay's like, "No, of course not." But there was one clip where I think Joe has a good sense of humor. So that's more what we're putting on display here, where these guys always talk about like how all their friends are in the Rogansphere, even Dave Smith, and they were kind of left out. So they confront him about that in this clip.
Yeah. Is Dave in the Rogansphere? We're trying to figure out how we get in the Rogansphere.
Yeah.
What is
You're in it right now. Look, first of all, Shane doesn't need the Rogansphere anymore. Let's just move Shane out, move Big J into that position.
Doesn't require the Rogansphere.
Ari's moving to fucking Thailand or something. He's gone. I'm ready. I'm a wacky guy. I'll shave half my head.
Ari's a wacky guy.
Over there and bail.
Agreed.
Yeah,
I'm going to talk to him. I'm going to call him up every day. Fuck that place. I'm gonna call him
This is
up.
where Joe's lack of improv skills. Loses like, "Get me in there." And Joe's like, No. Ari's going to stay. Don't worry about it. There's actually not room for you because I'm going to have Ari stay.
But you are right. Shane does not need the Rogansphere.
No. They're all big enough. Get Jay and Lewis in there. But what I like about Jay and Lewis's appearances on there, particularly when they're on together, they are able to, like, they had bits going the whole time where Joe brings up, I want to say NGOs or something like that. And Jay just goes, "Joe, should I explain, or are you going to explain to Lewis what those are?" Because, like, obviously I know, but explain to Lewis what those are. And then later in the podcast, Joe's talking about Atlantis. And he's saying, there's these rumors that there were no black people in Atlantis or something. And Jay goes, "Well, they probably didn't want to get their hair wet," which I think is a very funny joke. But Joe goes, what do you think Atlantis is? And Lewis goes, "He probably thought it was the underwater city. I didn't think that, Joe, but do you believe this idiot?"
That's exactly what it was.
So like they don't try, like, it's tough. And I actually like feel sympathy or empathy for people that go through that, more than making fun of them. Because remember we played Matt Rife on Joe's show?
Yes.
Where like I felt bad for Matt Rife, where like it might be easy to make fun of him for that, but it's like, what else do you do on that show? Where Matt Rife went on and kept being like, "I'm really into ghost hunting. Does that do anything for you?" And Rogan's just like, "Nah, but here's this thing about, they found dinosaur bones on Venus or something."
Or the latest fat burner ingredients.
Yeah, Matt's like, "I don't know a lot about that, but ghost hunting is pretty crazy, right?" Like he kept trying to bring it to that thing that he thought Joe might be interested in.
Yeah.
So like Joe's at this point now where I think he used to be really interested in his guests. And now the guests, it's almost like a show and tell where the guests have to come and be like, "I've started eating elk meat recently." Like they have to present to Joe the things that they're interested in. "I like crossbows, Joe. Do you happen to be into Oh, you are into those. What are the odds?"
Do you like compound crossbows?
So it is like that's where Joe has lost his touch a little bit with interview. I think now we're at the tipping point where now people do too much shitting on Rogan. Because like I listened to these guys on there and I thought it was a good episode. I liked it. So I still think if you like the guest, it's going to be an interesting episode.
Yeah.
Like now we're getting to the point where it's too far where they're like, "Joe, he's a government plant and he's working for Trump and all this." It's like, well, no, maybe he's just a rich guy that lost touch a little bit, but still does a decent show,
He kind of lost interest in the comics, which is strange.
Like because that's kind of what I'm talking about. Where Dan Soder talked about this, where it's like he goes in and Dan believes in like aliens and UFOs and shit, and he's like, "How about aliens?" And Rogan's like, "I'm not really into that today." And Dan's like, "Damn it!"
Because like the other kind of guests, it's almost like he's going to a class for like 3 hours.
Yes.
He sits there and listens to them. With the comics, he's very like standoffish.
He's teaching.
Yeah.
Yes, he takes over the blackboard that day.
Right. Which is kind of like, God, come on, man. Just fucking. That's why I like Protect Our Parks. Is the three of them will give him shit.
Yes, which is nice.
Yeah, and honestly, the Legion of Skanks guys will too. And he just
a little bit in a funny way. They're more like, "Hey, Joe, we're totally in on whatever." Like they're giving him shit in like a sarcastic way, kind of.
Yeah, which I do appreciate.
Yeah.
I think we got Diaz coming here.
Oh, it's Austin?
Yeah.
That's great.
Sorry, we already got a Puerto Rican.
We can't come in Jersey for the fights.
Man,
so he's back in the sphere.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Right.
There's plenty of room for you guys. You're in the sphere right now. You're on the show.
Every time the Rogansphere gets talked about, we never get thing. When Cat Williams said 6 unfunny comics,
we knew it wasn't us.
I knew it wasn't us. I would have been happy to be one of the 6 unfunny comics.
Listen, Cat probably has a point. But when I was to try...
That's the part I like when Rogan's like, listen, I get what he was saying. Maybe I had Schaub on a little too much, you know?
Yeah. Didn't Schaub just move there too? That's so funny.
Oh, we could have done a Schaub segment this week, but I just saw enough people cover it but yes, Brendan is like, I think people make too much with Schaub and Callan. People are like, oh, Brendan didn't take the hint. I've heard many times Callan's like, we got to get you to Austin. So like, Brian is complicit in getting Brendan to Austin, but there is a thing now where like it seems like Brendan hates it. Callan is already missing podcasts. They gave each other shit right out of the gate on an episode a couple weeks ago for Brian being late and then missing shows, and Brendan was being very bitchy about it. So it does seem like the move is not going great, and Brendan's like, I'm not doing comedy.
Right, which would be the only reason for him to move there.
Well, I guess the other reason would be so Fighter and the Kid gets big guests again. But I don't know if that's going to happen.
I think they'd have a better shot in LA for that.
Well, their logic would be, you do the circuit. You do YMH, you do Kill Tony, you do Rogan, you do Fighter and the Kid, Matt and Shane. Like, enough of those podcasts are down there that when people are promoting stuff, they'll hit all those podcasts. So I think they're saying, like, let's get in that cycle, you know?
I would like to see Brendan Schaub on Kill Tony. So everyone that goes up, every time Schaub critiques them, they can just go, I'm better than you.
Well, he was on back in the day, but I think that's why he would never do it again.
Yeah, it probably didn't go well. I didn't see that.
And there's a weird thing where, like, Tony has been on with Tony. Remember we played, like, Tony really shitting on Brendan's special.
Yeah.
But then it never really gets brought up again because there's weirdness in that crew where they're like, are we allowed to make fun of Brendan? We're not really sure.
Right. It's like they're just looking at Rogan and be like, come on, give us the green light. Let's get some super chats real quick.
All right.
Tom Myers gifted a Blind Mike Project membership.
Tom, you're too kind. Thank you, buddy.
Go to blindmike.net for everything Blind Mike. Look at me. I did it. Kragers did it.